Some of you grew up on the water, and for others, well, this may be your first experience. Over the next few minutes, regardless of what day the calendar says it is, we want to make sure you're ready for your beach weekend here in the beautiful waters of Key West, Florida. As much as none of us want to waste our day watching a safety video, well, we do want to make sure that you're ready for a safe and fun day out on the water. Now, before we begin, please note that anyone born after January 1st, 1988 must have a Florida Boater Safety Card or certificate to drive or rent a pontoon. If that's you, please find the link to complete your certification in the confirmation email. Okay, so let's start off talking about safe speeds in the operation of the boat throttle. Now, the boat will not start unless it is in neutral with the safety cord attached. Once the boat is running, you can use the throttle to go forward and backwards. The further you push the throttle, the faster it goes in that direction. It's important to maintain idle speeds in the marina and while in the marina channel. Once you're out in the marina channel, it's also important to never accelerate past 5,000 RPMs. Doing so will cause unnecessary wear on the boat, which you'll then be liable for damage. Not to mention, the added noise and discomfort for passengers is significant. Now, while the boat is traveling, all passengers should be seated within the metal cage with no gates open on the bottom level of the boat. Riding on the top level while the boat is in motion is prohibited. The only time a passenger can open a gate and go outside of it is when the boat is not moving, the motor is shut off, and the key is out of the ignition. There are significant penalties which can result in serious injury or even death for passengers standing up while cruising or riding outside of the gated areas. One more time, do not sit outside the railing around any part of the boat during operations. Also, there are life vests available on every Beach Weekend pontoon boat. Children ages 6 and under must wear a Coast Guard approved life vest at all times. A throw cushion is also kept on board and should be used to throw to anyone in distress. Now, although our Beach Weekend pontoons are capable of going just about anywhere in the Key West area, there are still boundaries in which must be maintained. Simply put, your boundaries are defined by the predetermined destinations located within the boat's GPS unit. Each destination will have its own color for the route, and any movement outside the pre-programmed GPS route will result in financial penalties and immediate termination of the rental. Bottom line is, we don't want to see you be slapped with a hefty fine by the Coast Guard or have to experience an immediate termination of the pontoon rental. So be sure to stay within the GPS coordinates. Now, when approaching and passing beneath bridges, it is required that you maintain idle speed and enter under the bridge at the highest apex. Do not attempt to pass under any bridge at alternate low points. And while navigating the waters, keep a watch out for lobster and crab trap buoys, which are scattered throughout our beautiful Florida Keys. There is an incredible amount of rope attached to the traps, so it is vital you avoid them for safe operation of the boat, as well as to avoid unnecessary damage that you will be responsible for. These traps are protected by federal law, and it's possible for you to be prosecuted if you pass too closely. If in the case you inadvertently approach one, please confirm there are no obstructions to the engine and propeller by turning off the motor, then trimming the motor in the upright position, and finally, removing the key from the ignition. At that point, you can then thoroughly inspect the props. The currents in our area can be very swift and dangerous. Unfortunately, every year people drown. So never, never let children or anyone jump or enter into the water until adults on the boat have first thoroughly assessed the depth of the water and the speed at which the current flows. The deeper the water is, the more difficult it is to keep the current from sweeping you away. It is strongly recommended that anyone getting in the water wears a properly fitted life vest. Now, this brings us to the anchor. You will find that our anchors are already tied to the boat. No passenger should exit the boat until the anchor is firmly set and the motor is off, so make sure the anchor is pulled in and placed onto the boat before you start the motor and begin traveling in the boat again. Boat propellers are extremely dangerous and you can become injured by coming into contact with them. The motors on these boats are very quiet and sometimes you can't even hear them running. Always make sure that the key is turned off, removed from the ignition, and that no passengers are anywhere around the back of the boat. Please do us a favor and keep your boat in the water and be very careful to stay clear from shallow water when the boat is traveling. The ocean bottom is very rocky in our area and coral reefs are abundant. We've marked some of these shallow areas, but you'll need to specifically keep your eyes peeled for light-colored areas of the water. Running the boat into shallow water can cause an abrupt stop with serious injury to the passengers on board, as well as damage to the propeller and lower unit. So make sure you're traveling at idle speed when near shallow water to protect the coral reef, as well as yourself and the boat. And please note, any damage to the boat props and motors will result in damage fees. Now for all the stunt devils out there, we get it. Even though it's a lot of fun jumping off of things, this is for your safety. Never dive or jump off of the boat, and especially no jumping off the top platform regardless of the water depth, ever. Most of our Beach Week and Key West staff has been on these waters their entire lives, and it's very difficult to judge how shallow the water is, and every year many people become seriously injured and even paralyzed by diving or jumping into shallow water. And furthermore, make certain everyone on your pontoon uses the slides as they were intended, feet first. The water depth should be a minimum of 4 feet to use the slide, and though you've heard this before, make sure the engine is turned off, trimmed down with the keys out of the ignition before anyone uses the slide. And again, never slide down head first. As for the swim ladder, do not try to exit or enter the boat without using it. Always make sure that the swim ladder is pulled up before the boat starts traveling. Now, if you see any changes in the weather, and especially if you see a threat of severe weather, please return to the Beach Week in Marina promptly. Now, it's always wise to check the weather on your cell phone from time to time, but if there isn't enough time to get to the marina before a significant storm arrives, promptly take shelter under a bridge or other protected areas, if at all possible. Seagrass beds, rocks, and coral are all vital to our water's environment, and they serve as the food and shelter for many aquatic animals, including manatees. Please be on the lookout for any manatees as you are boating, and as previously mentioned, be on the lookout for the dark and colored areas on the bottom of the ocean as these seagrass areas are protected. This means that you should never drive across the seagrass in shallow water, as damage is permanent and there are serious fines for damaging the ocean environment. Now, before you embark on your beach weekend adventure, don't forget to visit the Marina store. From ice and drinks to fill your cooler to water floats, toys, and sunglasses, everything you need for a fun-filled day on the water can be purchased at our store. And also, our staff is dedicated to making your day the best day ever, so don't forget to let them know how much you appreciate them. Now that you've reached the end of our safety video, make sure your cooler is full and get ready to enjoy your beach weekend here in Key West, Florida.